gentlemen, it is Thursday. You know what that means. It is Wrestling Chat with Friends. I am your host, Cheats Two Belts. I am joined as always by EJ the Collector. EJ, how you feeling this week?
I'm feeling good. I am here. I am present. I am accounted for. And as always, I'm accountable. Collector's Choice this week. It feels like it's been a minute. This came in the mail last week from the official major podcast, the Danhausen. Very nice,
Danhausen.
very evil, very famous. One of two Danhausens that I've ordered. The other one is from another toy company that it's literally been a year this month that it was first announced and first pre-ordered. They gave an initial estimate for Q2 of 2022.
Wow.
They missed that deadline. They have occasionally tweeted updates. That Danhausen should be in the mail, but in the meantime, major wrestling figure podcast announced, had pre-orders made and delivered a whole nother Danhausen, which came in the mail the other day. This is my collector's choice Danhausen, being used perfectly in AEW right now.
That is very, very cool. And for people that don't know, the Major Figures podcast, is that Smart Mark Sterling?
That's like Matt Cardona and Brian
Oh,
Myers. Yeah.
Okay. I want to say Smart Mark's on there quite a bit as well.
He probably is. And they have released an interesting line of figures over the last couple of years with everyone from Bruiser Brody to Dino Bravo to referee Earl Hebner. I like what they're doing over there. They're making some cool figures, and they made a Danhausen figure.
Well, for those that are in the Richmond area, I was excited to find I don't know. Look, this is the AEW show. I don't know if this is the wrestler that should remain nameless. However, if you're in the Richmond area, there is some AEW figures of CM Punk still floating
I saw one
around.
too. Yep.
I saw a couple of floating around. It was just very interesting because, like, my son, who doesn't follow all of the dirt sheets or doesn't follow anything backstage, just, it was really, really excited. One of the wrestling figures, he has hundreds. One of the figures he doesn't have, because it was before his time, is a CM Punk. So he was interested, asking about CM Punk. I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but as of right now, if you're interested in some CM Punks, they are floating around the Central Virginia area at your local stores that you always pick up AEW wrestling figures. So I think the figures are cool. Look at EJ, look at the collector.
If I could spin my camera around, I've now moved down this wall and I've got 9 figures, including a CM Punk figure along this wall. So I'll do a video tour and post it on our Twitter account for as long as that's going to be up for. But I'll do it on Facebook and Twitter. I'll do a tour of what's behind me. All 68 AEW figures I currently have.
That's amazing.
69, including this one, and I've got 1 or 2 on order. So it's getting a little absurd.
Now, here's the real question: do they ever come out of the box?
I have only opened a handful of AEW figures. A couple because I inadvertently bought doubles of them. I bought a double Sheeta or Io Sky back in the day. No, Riho. I had 2 Rihos and I had 2 MJFs. So I have opened those 2. The only other one I opened, I did get the CM Punk return exclusive figure from ringsidecollectibles.com. And I did open that in solidarity with our sister, our heel and heels Megan. After she went on a major CM Punk tirade, as she should have, well-deserved, well-earned on CM Punk's part, I told her that the ringside exclusive figure that I had coming, I would take it out of the package. Also, it didn't fit very well on the wall, so I really had no choice anyway. So, but those are the only 3. Otherwise, these are fully collectible in being hung up. The only one I have in a protected case was the rare Ricky Starks they sent me, and that's
right. You said, yeah, I saw that.
Included.
That was a collector's choice a couple weeks ago.
So no, they're just tacked on the wall, but no tack to the cardboard. They keep them pristine. But yeah, I'm gonna get to 100 because there's already 5 or 6 more. This is turning into a toy podcast. This is great.
It is.
There's at least 5 more series already announced. So they'll be making AEW figures probably. We'll see what will last longer: AEW figures being made or AEW itself. Hopefully, AEW itself.
I
It's
hope
yeah,
AEW itself, and that's actually a really good segue into the first thing we want to talk about, because we're going to start at the end. A matter of fact, we're going to start so far at the end of AEW Dynamite. We're going to start with what happened off the air. It wasn't
off
even
the air.
on the air. It was off the air, but it's been making its way around social media and the internets this entire time, and it's kind of been a bit of a brouhaha in a way. After AEW went off the air last night, MJF was in the ring. Tony Khan joins him in the ring, and MJF goes on I want to say it was what I saw a video was about 2.5 minute, 3 minute, very strong defense of Tony Khan and what he's done for AEW. And it was kind of I'm sick of the trolls. I'm sick of people talking about how dysfunctional AEW is. Tony Khan's doing something that none of you and MJF Tone have the guts to do, and all the boys in the back are riding for Tony Khan. EJ, what'd you make of all this? Because this is like almost breaking the fourth wall, kind of up against that line, but it was a very strong defense of what Tony Khan's trying to do.
It was, and it was impressive. But I'm going to push back just a little bit on that. If it was anybody else, if that exact same speech came from a John Moxley, a Bryan Danielson, a Samoa Joe, a Wardlow, Ricky Starks, when it comes from MJF, and this is a testament to how good MJF is, I think that plus the promo that he ended the show with, and then off air, this promo we're talking about, he's so good. I think it was still like 65 to 70% in character.
Mm-hmm.
Not to make it not sincere. I believe it was sincere, but it was done in an MJF way where, because he still basically got his signature lines in about free agency 2024 WWE. He made multiple references to heat between them, but his words about Tony, that there'd be your favorite wrestlers would not be seen on TV. They would not have the sort of life they have right now if not for Tony, is true. There was a monopoly for many years. This is the indies were an alternative, albeit not on television. AEW is sort of the only televised indie promotion. I think that was sort of the idea that Kenny and Cody and the Bucks had. Tony just was a wrestling fan, wanted to be part of it. So MJF, albeit in character, because he still made it about himself. He still closed the show saying he's better than you and you know it. But there was a lot of references today that was a shot at CM Punk. Maybe
there was a shot at CM Punk when he said wrestlers from other places come and take a dump on the company. He was talking about CM Punk.
I'm sure he was talking about CM Punk. He could have been a little more implicit, but here's who it's not. CM Punk doesn't care, I don't think. So I'm not going to care that much. I think it's a slight exaggeration. I think MJF and John Moxley are carrying that company on their backs right now. John has been carrying it. Maybe it was foreshadowing to maybe there'll be a new person to really put that company on his back Saturday. There's so much talent in that organization right now that if they're going to trust a 26-year-old kid to hold that belt against Hall of Fame veterans, he better be the right one. And I have yet to see anything that suggests that MJF is not the right one. He is what he says he is. I believe MJF is a generational talent. And I'm not saying that just because I'm wearing the scarf.
You are wearing the scarf.
I am. I am convinced that he loves pro wrestling and loves the carny aspect to it. And if he wants to be that signature next star like The Rock and Stone Cold, I think he's doing it the entire right way. I'm 100% behind him. He's a face right now, whether you like it or not. Unless there's something really sinister planned for Saturday, MJF is just going to have to live with the fact that he's a face.
Yeah, I mean, so my thoughts on the speech was there's some mixed emotions there, and I think the reason why that was because they did it after the cameras went off. Mm-hmm. So by doing it after the camera, now everybody knows, everybody has a cell phone. It was on the internet within 10, 15 minutes after the speech. So maybe they were trying to get that quote unquote earned media in that way. there was still very much a angle aspect to it. I agree with that. I'm just trying to figure out, like you're saying, they're doing this thing with Regal. They're doing this thing with him trying to be a little bit more noble as he goes into this main event with Jon Moxley. He does this thing in defense of Tony Khan, obviously in MJF style. But there is hints of me now trying to figure out, like, are they trying to figure out ways to turn him face? And if they turn completely turn him face, and if he turns face, is it like Regal? Regal turns heel. I'm still trying to figure that out, and I probably am too far deep in the weeds on it. As it currently stands right now, I want MJF to be the biggest heel, not just a heel, but the biggest heel in the company. I mean, the heel heat where his mother was like holding up the sign on social media that's like, I don't even like MJF. That type of heat.
It's heel heat he has reached already at times.
Right, but right now, I feel like he needs to something has to happen at Full Gear that turns the needle even more and makes him 100% heel. And I don't know if it's Jon Moxley or who else steps up, but there's got to be, to me, in order for AEW to kind of move forward as currently constituted and be what we need it to be, I think MJF needs to be the heel of all heels.
Well, let's unpack that. What would need to happen Saturday? Because we got to think about this too. And I'm sure Tony has figured out, if we're going to just go into the assumption. I know we'll get to the preview later.
Yep.
That MJF is going to be crowned champion. It certainly has appeared that way.
I'm not there yet. Go ahead.
Okay, you're not there yet. So do you think that this is a blow off? Let's forget who's going to win. Let's assume this is a blow off. Where does MJF go next? Where does Blackpool Combat Club go next? Is the Blackpool Combat Club going to stay a faction? They should. Will Regal still be their mentor, or are they going to start feuding with each other? There's a lot that, is around the corner, because you always have to look, if you're writing creative, you got to always be doing
months
it
ahead. Yep.
6 months ahead.
So exactly.
That's what AEW intrigues me the most, is because they have really dynamic angles. And I guess I'm waiting to see what the pivot will be, because I'm very satisfied with the product, so I want more of it, and I have an idea of where I'd want to see it. So it's always the eternal question: is it going to line up with what you think's going to happen? And so, what would it take for MJF to get that heel he had right before he dropped his pipe bomb, because that garnered him a lot of support when he was. So, what is it going to take? I think at this point, a swerve with a reunification of the firm is unlikely.
Stokely and the firm, true, but I think unless they're playing us all somehow, Stokely and the firm, it's got to be some type of turn in that vein. Stokely and the firm, they gotta cheat Moxley somehow really bad. They gotta bring him. You know what I mean?
I think it has to be even more devious than that. So I'll hold my prediction till later in the show.
Well, look, we've talked about toys in this part. So last thing we'll talk about, and then we'll really get into Full Gear preview, because we want to stay sort of on time. It has been already reported that last night's Dynamite was, I want to say, 816,000. It was the lowest number in like a complete year, and pretty significantly. Is there any particular reason why you feel? Would there be any reason that you see why AEW Dynamite in particular ratings is losing a lot of steam? The last 3 episodes were a little bit over average, but this last episode, none of them cracking 1 million at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This last episode was really poor in the ratings department. It was already released. Anything that you see, should Tony Khan and those guys be concerned? What's your thought on the kind of significantly poor ratings?
Well,
meanwhile, with the caveat that all of the WWE products are now going up.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there might be a little fatigue, because I think this drama and this has become a little bit tired. It's been going on for a long time. There's been a lot of distractions. There've been a lot of top stars that are out. for the fans of that 800 and some odd thousand that you can count on every week, and then you hope to get another 150,000 more to maybe get up to 1 million. How many 100,000 of that are sort of like not diehards, but know the product in and out? Are they getting sort of fatigued by the lack of Kenny and lack of the Bucks? Are they getting tired of waiting for an ROH product? Is there just too much of these? Too much Jack Perry? I don't know. But to answer your question, Tony should be concerned because
818,000 was the number for last night's Dynamite.
And the crowd wasn't very good. It sounded either. There was a lot of reports that the crowd was sort of not all that enthusiastic. So, organizations have periods like this. It's a product usually of how dynamic and how interesting the storylines are. And outside of MJF, is there another? I mean, I think there's some people who have gotten some stagnant storylines, some guys whose storylines have gotten way too long and just aren't exciting enough to maintain because they've got some of their key stars out. I mean, Kenny and the Bucks being out this long is now starting to hurt the company.
I don't know what moves the needle. If you have over $100,000, over 100,000 viewership drop in 1 week, I don't know if that's just the storylines are getting still. I mean, we're in a season where everything's happening. The NBA's back, college basketball's back.
Yeah, that's all true.
Football's coming.
I'm trying to make some wrestling related.
Yeah, right.
But I think you're right. I think all that
people are getting back outside. There's concerts. You know what I mean? Like things that we just talked about that took us away. Parent teachers conferences that'll take us away from kind of our regular viewer fandom. And I'm just starting to wonder. However, like we just said, with the WWE products, especially NXT, has been actually steadily moving up. It could be some wrestling fatigue in there. I'm not going to panic in the sense that they should be concerned just yet because, and I have this discussion with my wife all the time, you're kind of competing against yourselves in some ways. So if you're losing ratings amongst yourselves, it's a significant concern, and you want to obviously buck that trend as soon as possible. But if you're still on cable in the demo of 18 to 54 or 45 or whatever the demo you're looking at as for advertiser.
18 to 49, I believe. Or
right. If you're still doing better than most things on cable television, which AEW Dynamite is, you got to feel good. You got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, so, I don't think he's sweating it. I don't think he's seeing drops to, 500,000. I don't pay much attention to ratings. I mean, so I don't know if the holidays bring a drop or nothing, but if MJF wins the title on Saturday and people who didn't buy the pay-per-view hear about it and they start teasing it, if that rating is 910,000 next week, then you're right back where you were. And
you are right back. It's an interesting thing. Let's change gears and talk about the actual show last night because I want to get the majority of our time to preview Full Gear, and we'll probably skip over some things to just when we get to the Full Gear preview, we can talk about what happened last night. There's a couple of really, really I think classically very cool AEW things that did happen last night. Overall, I would say leading into a pay-per-view, was there massive excitement, massive heat to build up the main event, and that they tried. I don't think, again, you were talking about the crowd. I think there was a lot of elements that last night just didn't feel like it connected as much.
And full disclosure to everybody, I was at a concert last night. I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it live.
I saved you, Elliot. I was saying other things.
No, we're not going to lie. We're not going to lie to our friends.
It wasn't lying. It was, you know what I mean.
Well, I don't like admitting anything about my life to my friends who listen here. All of you get full disclosure. But I have caught up on it, and I watched the end live.
I was going to say full disclosure. I watched just about every wrestling event, not just Dynamite, every wrestling event on at least an hour and a half delay where I can start and fast forward through the commercials and end it at a lot. I do that every time. So with that said, some really cool things that I thought were just classic AEW, classic awesome, made me feel really good about it. And the top of that list was the Acclaim's music video featuring Captain Insano.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I don't know what Big Show's doing overall at AEW, but
Yeah.
what did you think of the actual music video as a segment? So you get an Acclaim rap, you get a Max Caster rap, you get the music video, and then you get a match between Bowens and Swerve, which I thought Swerve looked great and did a really good job. But it all leads into Full Gear tag team title match. But I just thought the music video was just classic and great. What did you think about it?
I thought the rap was fantastic. The segment overall was really, every week the Acclaimed just gets better and better.
So cool.
They've made me like Billy Gunn. I didn't used to be a big Billy Gunn fan.
You hated Billy Gunn, by the way.
I wouldn't say I now I can't help but like his involvement, the way he's treating those boys like sons. It's really fantastic. The music video was tight. It was cool. I mean, Max Caster can definitely rap. Here's a very, very unpopular opinion. The Water Boy is not my favorite movie of all time. Adam Sandler movies were funny at one point in my life. I think they are a little bit overrated. So in addition,
you gotta like the callback though. Like the callback was hilarious.
I knew inevitably that was going to happen when Paul White joined AEW 2 years ago. This was teased. We were about Captain Insano. I'm sure he's been dying to do it. Vince would have never let him do it in the Fed. So great, but I think Paul White is taking up space over there because I don't know really what he does there. So if that's really all Paul White can do is put on his Captain Insano for a good callback on the hottest act in AEW, great. I enjoyed it. I kind of like roll my eyes at Paul White, but the match was
the host of one of the Elevations or Darks. Is he not doing that anymore?
I think he still does that. I think that's one on Monday or Tuesday that I don't watch as frequently as the Dark.
Right.
So, but again, Paul White, I think has used up as much as when he came into AEW was in a much different place than it is now.
They were really excited to have him. It was like a big announcement.
It was like a big deal, and I guess when he's in there in the ring, I appreciate Paul White more when he's out of the ring. So he's not in the ring anymore, but Swerve and Bowens was tremendous. Two top athletes. I'm really looking forward to this tag team match on Saturday.
Well, let's go for it. First prediction of the night and Full Gear 2022. It's going to be Swerve in Our Glory taking on the champs, the Acclaim. Who do you think wins?
My prediction is that the Acclaim retain their titles, and we will see the turn of Swerve on Keith Lee, breaking up Swerve in Our Glory. Keith and Swerve will then feud. Keith is the face, Swerve is the heel. There will be new tag teams to challenge the Acclaim. They'll continue on as champs. Swerve in Our Glory will get blowed up.
I can echo completely, double that prediction to the T. Mm-hmm. So the Acclaim retain, Swerve in Our Glory break up, Swerve turns heel. It's been written for weeks. Go ahead and look, one of those things like Julia Hart joining House of Black, just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just make that happen. And
just like Dominic joined the Judgment Day. Yeah,
this is inevitable. And it's time. This story has been great. Swerve looked great in the ring last night, so let's just do that one.
Swerve's a great heel. Part of me would love to see Keith Lee turn into a monster and take out Swerve, but it wouldn't work because Swerve doesn't have any face, juice right now. He's a heel, and Keith Lee is very lovable, but Keith Lee can be a monster, and I like to see that come out of him at some point. So it would be cool if Keith Lee actually assaulted Swerve, although that would probably get Keith Lee even more over. So yeah, but that's what's going to happen.
And I've struggled a little bit with the Swerve roles, like understanding exactly what they were trying to do. We were not on last week, and I really thought the Rick Ross thing was hilarious. I thought the Rick Ross thing, finally it made some sense to me. where
Mm-hmm.
it's like Swerve was with Rick Ross, Keith Lee comes in, and Rick Ross, who is great by the way, was
Rick
like,
Ross gave the best promo of the week
right,
last
was
week.
like toast to success. I thought it was the best thing, and like
Mm-hmm.
you could tell like Keith Lee's getting agitated. He's just like relax, you know. And I was like, that's what I need. I needed more of that, and I thought that was really good. But to a T on your, we are in lockstep, so we're 1 for 1 so far on our first predictions. Let's go back to um, last night because there was another thing that I think was super cool, and I really thought it was the match of the night. Stole the show as often Top Flight does, and the Lucha Brothers do. But anytime you're going to put Death Triangle in the ring, and then you give them Top Flight, so the return of Darius was there, Dante
Mm-hmm.
Martin was there, and then newly contract offered. We talk about this some
Yep.
other time because AEW just seems to do this. They get their indie guys or free agent guys, put them in the ring, and then offer them a contract, a la Bandito 2 weeks ago.
Right.
AR Fox, who, for those that don't really know, they did a really good job last night of talking about AR Fox's 15 plus year career, and not
Yep.
only as an indie kind of star, but also a legendary trainer who's trained a ton of wrestlers. Looked great, looked fantastic for his age. He's got to be one. He's got to be on the R-Truth diet because I think he is a little bit older than the newly signed guys, but he looked phenomenal. Lucha Brothers Pack put on an amazing show. Obviously, they did
Always.
all the flippity flips that you could do, and AR Fox was just right there with them. I thought
Yep.
it was the match of the night. What'd you think of Death Triangle, who pulled out the victory? And then obviously there was some post match shenanigans that we'll talk about as well. Thoughts on the match, and then we'll talk to who they're going to fight at Full Gear.
I'm glad Darius is back. He looked
good.
I wouldn't say he looked particularly like noticeably rusty. He's obviously worked really hard. He looked just fine. AR Fox, I echo your sentiments for those who don't know him. Do a deep dive. AR Fox is fantastic. Dante Martin should be the next Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse.
Live action play, yeah.
If not be the stunt double, because he can do things. He's right up there with everybody else, but he seems to do it even more smoothly than most. And he's so young. I don't know if the charisma's there. I don't know what kind of future Dante is going to have, but he is athletically as impressive. If wrestling doesn't work out, he can go right to Cirque du Soleil. He can go right to Hollywood and be a stunt coordinator for Marvel. Dante, to me, is one of the most impressive young performers and athletes out there doing their thing in AEW. I'm interested to see what Death Triangle and what happens with the Trios title after Saturday.
No, let's talk about it because they've been previewing the return of the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, for quite some time now. Probably at least 3 weeks now. I actually did not see this coming. I thought it was super weird when Pat got the mic after the match, and I was like, what's happening here? And then he alluded to the return of the Elite, but then AEW confirmed it. They put the video montage on, and it will be Death Triangle versus the Elite for the Trios titles at Full Gear. What do you think of the return? Is that a good use of the return? And what do you think predictions on who wins the match?
Well, until you said that, I actually didn't know that it was because again, I was not watching live or caught up everything last night. So it was announced the Elite.
Yeah, they did a video montage. And
they've had some montages, but
no. This is the montage that had the graphic Death Triangle versus. Then they vapored up into the Elite as they were vaporing down. And so, yes, it is set. It is locked in. It is a big announcement for Full Gear. The Elite is returning. They are returning for the Trios titles, and they're taking on Death Triangle.
Interesting. I believe Death Triangle will retain. And, I don't have a great reason why, other than I think their story has not finished being told. I think if you take the titles off, for Elite returning after winning the titles, vacating the titles, being suspended, they come back and they immediately upset this team that's held it dutifully in their absence would be a bad call. I think hopefully cooler heads would prevail. they will get their time to hold this. But I don't know how it's gonna. I think shenanigans will occur as they usually do, and I don't know from which side they will come on. But I think it will cost them some sort of victory. Maybe it'll even be by disqualification, but I believe Death Triangle will retain.
Everything you just said is what I'm thinking, and the only thing that upsets me about this is everything that we're talking about is things that are outside of the ring. So for the wrestling fan, like the one that's looking at the product, without looking at any of the outside interference, everything would tell me from the outside product that the Elite return and take the titles. Everything that we know of outside of the ring says that can't possibly happen. There's no way that they're going to be coming back in off suspension and win the titles day one and then, go back to running roughshod over the company. So
yeah, not day one, but it's going to happen because they're three of the top performers.
Right.
So, but, and it's how I know, but it's that they had booked them to win it and hold the title, I'm sure, for a while in September. So they're not going to give it to him day one. I think that would be the wrong move. You'll find people.
I do too. I'm 100% with you. We're both going to say Death Triangle. I just think that if all things were equal and they were returning from like an injury or something like that, because here's the thing. If you go back and watch, they did get a pop when they showed up and it was like the Elite's coming back. That was one of the loudest moments of the night for the crowd. They weren't even there. They just kind of came up in the video. And so they were like, let's go. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. Has the potential to steal the show at Full Gear. But somehow, I think Death Triangle retains.
Hey, if you're getting 811,000, 836,000 viewers, you might want to see the Elite have to sweat for a few weeks. It might build up some interest and get that number back up.
I would say, to get ratings up, just put the Lucha Brothers on all the time. Put them on more.
No argument there.
So, believe it or not, those were the two things that I pulled out of. Those are the two things that I really pulled out of last night's show. There's a couple other things, and I will talk about this one because there's been a change to the card on Full Gear.
Okay.
And that is the number one contender tournament. So last night they had Ethan Page versus Bandito for the semifinal. The other semifinal was supposed to be, I want to say, Ricky Starks and Lance Archer. That has been moved now.
Lance Archer or Brian Cage?
Oh, excuse me. Brian Cage is taking on, I guess it was, Brian Cage is in, right? And he's taking on, it was Ricky Starks was in this thing. And I think a legitimate injury to Ricky Starks has moved the final to Wednesday on Dynamite of next week. So they've taken off the final of the kind of number one contender tournament. Ethan Page did score a win over Bandito. Yep. Ricky Starks could not compete in action. However, he cut another really, really good promo. Really good promo.
He can do that really well.
Yeah, that says that, Wednesday he'll be absolute and he'll be ready. Do we want to talk about, because let's talk about, since that's off the card, let's talk about what is on the card.
Yeah.
And
who's on the other side? So in the finals Wednesday on Dynamite will be Ethan Page versus, is it Brian Cage, or is there a match this Friday I'm sure someone knows the answer out there, but let
me look really quick while we're doing this.
I'll say this while you're looking at this. I'll say sure. Ethan Page. Hey, Bandito's fantastic. Bandito is already had a world title opportunity, so it wouldn't have made a lot of sense to have him cruise into the finals, especially over Ethan Page, who hopefully they're paying more attention to than they have in a few weeks. His association with the firm is fine. I don't think he needs any other sort of mouthpiece, but Ethan Page is a star and should already be getting world title opportunities. So I hope to see him. He's my pick to win this tournament that's now on Wednesday. Probably curious to see who he's planning on facing. I guess it's either Brian Cage, who had made his way to the semifinals, with Starks. Is it going to be Hobbs? Is he replacing Starks?
Okay, so let's see. Page booked his victory over Bandito in the semifinals and will face either Brian Cage, Lance Archer, or Ricky Starks in the final. So apparently Brian Cage, Lance Archer, or Ricky Starks is in the final. I don't know exactly how we got there, but I do know was it going to be Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and then Lance Archer attacked Ricky Starks? I think that's what happened, something of that nature.
So Lance and Brian will wrestle this Friday on Rampage.
No. It's between
triple threat.
Brian, Lance, and Ricky, and I don't exactly know. I got to figure out exactly how we got there. I don't know.
Okay, well, Ethan Page will face one of them in the finals, and if Ricky Starks is injured, Ethan Page deserves to win it over Lance Archer and Brian Cage. Who are basically the same person.
I think it's safe to say Ethan Page is going to win.
Yes.
That's what I think is good. Here's the thing. I will say this about Brian Cage. Though.
Put Eddie Kingston back in the tournament.
Last 3 weeks, Brian Cage has been so impressive. Brian Cage never did it for me. I thought he was great the last couple of weeks. He did a Wardlow match I thought was phenomenal. He did a match last week that I thought was really good as well. I thought Brian Cage was really doing some cool stuff.
He doesn't have much personality for me or much charisma. He's a really impressive physical figure who can do some impressive things. There's plenty. I like Wardlow a lot more than I like Brian Cage. So Wardlow is my guy in that category. So Brian Cage.
Let's talk about Wardlow because that was and this is a segment that happened last night, and we can also preview the Full Gear match that is on the card. Wardlow, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, all of them last night get into a massive brouhaha of big people, meleeing, guys running out of the back. Wardlow does a somersault over the top rope into a giant crowd of people. So the segment, Mojo comes out to explain to the audience why he did what he did to Wardlow, and it was basically like, hey, look, this guy says he's coming for everything. That's got I got to keep my head on a swivel. I think they're portraying Joe as the heel in this kind of predicament, but then Powerhouse Hobbs comes out and he's kind of the heel. Then Wardlow comes out, he's clearly the face, but it leads into what's going to be, I think a really good match, man. Wardlow is the TNT champion versus Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse Hobbs. It's a 3-way match for the title. What is your thoughts on this story? What are your thoughts on how they're using Wardlow, Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs in this?
I was starting to worry about how they were booking Wardlow, even with the title. But now I'm a little more at ease about it, and I'll tell you why. Joe is you can always count on Joe to deliver. He, I think, hopefully will be one of the faces of whatever Ring of Honor is going to be. And Powerhouse Hobbs is long overdue for this sort of shot. I like seeing this combination together. Again, personally, I wish the AEW had built Keith Lee better in the last year and a half, where this would be a fatal 4-way with these four. These are the 4 guys I want to see go at it. My concern for Wardlow is if he keeps doing moves like he's doing, I see one of those like really bad neck injuries that's going to shorten his career. He's too big to fall that much and that far. I think it's possible Wardlow is going to lose the title Saturday, but I think that's okay because if Tony has any good sense, Wardlow should be MJF's first feud. So it'd be okay with me if Wardlow loses the title, maybe doesn't get pinned. Triple threat, champ can lose his belt without getting pinned. I think Powerhouse Hobbs is going to win the title on Saturday by taking out Joe. I think Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs will get some return match, but I think that's when further shenanigans will occur and Wardlow will transition himself to a different opponent, that being MJF. Hobbs will then have the TNT title and start taking on newcomers.
Interesting. We are gonna differ on this one. I think Wardlow retains. I think him being the TNT champion right now is the best he can do. I don't think he's going to be at the top of the ticket feuding with MJF and then John Moxley's of the world and the Hangman Pages of the world just yet. So keep the title on him. Have a good, have a really, as Big E would say, big meaty men slapping meat type match with Powerhouse Hobbs, Samoa Joe in there. I think that's going to be a really, really good, hard hitting match. I think Wardlow comes out on top, and I think he closes out the year. I think he rides out the year as the champ. And there's nothing in AEW's history, especially if we're looking at what they did with what they're doing with Jade, that says he can't have a really long run and hold the belt for a long time. So I'm going to stick with Wardlow on this one.
Okay, I'm all in for Powerhouse Hobbs.
I do like Hobbs, and I actually like how they're using Hobbs.
It was just a few weeks ago we were saying, is Hobbs and Starks even still around anymore?
Exactly,
were. They have both returned, and they're doing different things. They seem to have closed out their feud, which I don't think came to a great conclusion, but they're doing
this goes to the heart of the problem with AEW. This is the heart of the problem with AEW. A lot of talent, not enough TV time for all of the talent that they have, and there's just tons of folks that get lost. Mm-hmm. We talk about it every week. There are tons of folks as we go into Full Gear that are under contract, that are not wrestling, they're not on TV, they're not like being seen. We don't know if they're in Japan. We don't know what's happening with them. Like, where's Brody King right now? I don't know. Right. And it just seems to be a thing with AEW where it just keeps going and going. And, we just we're going to have to deal with that. One point of clarification, the Ricky Starks and Lance Archer will wrestle this Friday, so tomorrow, on Rampage. The winner of that match will move on in the tournament. Brian Cage is still there. Ethan Page is still there. So I still don't really know how this all comes to a head. But
tune in tomorrow. We'll get it cleared up.
We're going to clearing, I don't know if there's brackets for the title. This is the title eliminator. We mentioned it. It's one of my favorite things in AEW. Let's talk about the TBS title and one of my favorite wrestlers in the business right now. Nyla Rose, gotcha. Gotcha. No, Nyla continues to be awesome and really funny, and she is taking on a very motivated, very angry Jade Cargill, who Nyla still. I think it's funny. I stole the TBS title belt. I need security. I'm the champion, and nobody can get it back from me type thing. I think it's great. I think it's a great use of Nyla's talent. I think Nyla with Jade is a great match. Clearly, Jade's going to beat her. She's going to get her title back at Full Gear, and that's my prediction. But I do love this storyline. What do you think?
It has been one of the better storylines over the last month or two. Is Nyla just full on claiming herself as the TNT champion? Jade has had multiple shots to try to get the title back, has fallen short each time, but she's still looking strong. They're going to put on. It'll be a very satisfactory seven minute banger. There'll be some good moves. In the end, we're going to wait for Jade to put Nyla, lift her up, to press her the way she does. Nyla's fantastic in and out of the ring. Jade is a rising superstar. I wish Jade was wrestling as much as Bianca is over in WWE, but they have just booked her differently, which is just fine too, because she is I say that because, like, Tony, use her while you have her, because she's probably not long for the wrestling business, because she's probably got a Hollywood career. So I'd rather see her more while she's still a wrestler. But yeah, Jade's going to win the title. Nyla's played this foil part perfectly. She's great.
I've grown to really, really love and respect Nyla Rose during this period more so than ever, because I just think she's showing more of her personality.
And again, with all what we just talked about, with all this talent who struggle sometimes to get TV time because they have 5 hours a week, they still have homegrown stars on Dark and Elevation, young indie
True.
guys that they grow,
True.
and Nyla, who's been there for a long time and was sort of an afterthought for many, 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 many months, is now right back inserted into a great program and has made the most of it, which is what wrestlers say is all that matters is when you have that opportunity, make the most of it. And she
Well,
has.
speaking of opportunities and making the most of it and coming back, there is a women's grudge match on the card as well. Really good promos, I would say, from both DMD and Saraya. Um, really good storyline. It seems they've gotten personal in the story. I know it's not. I don't think they're working themselves into a shoot, but I do think they're building up a really good match that actually has no. It's a match that doesn't have any belts. Doesn't really need
Mm-hmm.
any belts. DMD is saying, "Hey, look, I carried this company while you were off nose doing Lord knows what." And Saraya is like, "I am this company. Not this company, but I am wrestling, and you haven't paid your dues. You've only been on TV 3 years." It's gotten some really good promos. What do you think? Who comes out on top? What's your thoughts on this kind of blood feud match here?
Yeah, this is the crux of this match. The heart of this story has been Paige being cleared to return. The use of Renee Paquette over the last few weeks to sort of
Soraya.
what did I say? Paige. Sorry, Soraya. My bad. I apologize. Old habits die hard.
Die Hard.
The fact that Soraya is cleared is really is where the emotion's coming from. She got emotional just announcing that to the
Yep.
cameras last week, and good for her. Like I was saying, Renee Paquette having Soraya on, or the Sessions podcast, and having her mediate these interviews the last few weeks that they've again danced around and towards each other. It's being told very well. I'm really happy for Soraya. Did you see on when Soraya was back on the Sessions with Renee when she got cleared by the doctor? You know who the first person Soraya texted was?
I do not know.
Mercedes.
Okay.
Texted
Okay.
Mercedes because it was Sasha who had injured Paige and took her out for 5 years. It was, not done intentionally. Here's what Soraya said. I texted Mercedes and told her, I know this was a tough time for you, and I'm cleared and I'm back. And I haven't told anybody else, but I thought it would make you feel good. And she said Mercedes was overjoyed. But what Soraya said was, I know it's been hard for her because I know it wasn't intentional. We're wrestlers. We sign up for this. But when you accidentally end someone's career, it obviously took a tough toll on Mercedes. So the fact that she's back and she can kind of ease Mercedes's guilt about it, because she said she's had guilt about it for years, you know, while being very self-aware. But I think that's great that Soraya's back, that she was able to come back after it's been 5 years. I think I think she will have some rust. So I'm not expecting too much for this match. I'm wondering if this is where we're going to see Jamie Hayter get involved and
I don't think so
start.
because
But
Hayter has a championship match that night.
yeah, you're probably right. So I think Soraya is going to go over. I think Britt will make her look great. And Britt is everything she says she's been. She has carried this company for a long time, for better or for worse. She's a huge talent. And this is going to be sort of the inspirational, emotional match of the night with Soraya getting her hand raised in victory over Britt.
So I have very low expectations for this match. I just hope the often crappy AEW crowd for women's wrestling matches
Yeah,
uh,
give them
are
love,
not
man.
are not their crappy selves, and understand exactly what you said. Is Saraya hasn't wrestled in 5 years. It's not going to be Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks out there.
No,
That's my expectation of it being has a potential if they put on a show while the crowd surprise the hell out of us. That would be great.
yeah,
This one has the most potential, I think, to have the lowest floor. And I just hope that everyone does, pulls out the stops and make themselves look good. I agree with you, Saraya. In her return match, she's not going to lose it. DMD has proven at this point that she is 100% okay with putting people over. and she's won quite a bit, obviously in AEW lore. So Saraya goes over. I think we're ×2 on that. Quickly, as we continue on moving through the card, it's one of those nights for AEW. It's going to be a long night for the pay per view. Jamie Hayter is on the card. Tony Storm is the champion. I have very little, what's the word? Excitement here for this match. Tony Storm, to me, I understand they're trying to make, you try to make Tony Storm a thing. Basically, everywhere she's gone, she's gotten a lot of push.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't do it for me in the ring at all. She doesn't. Her matches don't seem to be the top tier championship caliber matches that I even think Brett Baker or Rio or Serena Deeb or Shirai put on. So I struggle with Tony Storm being champion, especially when you look in the locker room and you have Jamie Hayter and you have Athena and you have Ruby Soho. But I get it.
Oh yeah,
I get it. But I would love for Jamie Hayter to go over the top, become the champion, and see if we can move on to a new horizon here.
Is that what you're calling Jamie Hayter new champ?
Yeah, let's do it. I gotta diverge from you somehow. Hayter goes over.
Well,
Haters are gonna hate.
I agree with everything you say, but for some reason, I think Tony Storm's gonna retain somehow. I think that might make her. I think that's gonna get some heel heat for her, and maybe this change of character where she's a heel champ is gonna work. I don't know. I don't have a very good reason for it, but somewhat to be contrarian. And again, I have sort of low expectations for this match, or just low excitement. That's the better word for it, low excitement.
I actually
even though I like Jamie Hayter a lot,
I do. I think it could be a better wrestling match than Brett Baker or Saraya.
I hope it will be, and I hope they both leave it out. I have so much respect for all those ladies out there because they've never really gotten their full due appreciation. So treat them right. They're entertaining the hell out of us as much as the guys. I get why people like Tony Storm too, but I share your sentiments. I just think she's going to retain and keep it going for a little bit longer.
The key here is for the AEW crowd not to be jerks.
There's going to be a lot of
hard.
There'll be a lot of title changes. Well, I'm calling a lot of title changes. You can't have no title changes. There's going to be, I think, one at the end, but are they going to do a second one? Maybe. I say Tony's going to retain.
All right. Speaking of blood feud grudge matches, they're putting it in a steel cage. Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. Do you have a prediction?
I could not care less about this match. I think
this is your floor match. Yeah, this is the match that you think.
I like all cage matches because I like I like the aspect of that cage in there. And I like it when there's blood in wrestling. I have no problem with the Crimson Mask, and I hope Luchasaurus just further abuses Jungle Boy. I'm calling Luchasaurus, even though that probably won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They're fighting at this point for pride. I don't know where either one of them go after this is over. I really don't. I don't, it doesn't seem like Christian Cage is going to be back anytime soon. Do you put this thing to bed? If you put it to bed at the pay-per-view, that means Jungle Boy goes somehow and ends this thing with Luchasaurus. My biggest concern is after it's over, where do these guys go? I have no clue.
Luchasaurus should be inserted into this Samoa Joe, Wardlow, TNT title. He fits that size, that build. His character's good. He's got a mouthpiece with Christian Cage, who, I can take and leave at this point. I think he's a good heel, but again, sort of like Paul White, Christian Cage, maybe have a little bit of space. Seems like Christian Cage took the place that Matt Hardy had, and no, you need someone who's in their. Someone else deserves that, not Christian Cage. So sure. I don't know where Jack Perry goes. I want Luchasaurus to continue going up the rankings. Jack Perry is not a pillar of this company, as initially predicted. This company is much different than it was when Jungle Boy was anointed a pillar. So
I like them better as a tag team. I wish they'd just make up and go back to being.
Maybe they will.
Jurassic Express. I think Jurassic Express in the tag division is actually, that makes sense. All of this other stuff to me doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
I agree. Who do you have going over?
Oh, I think it ends. Jungle Boy goes over.
Gotcha.
And I just say that just to get it over with.
Yeah, no, and
I
actually,
I don't need this to continue on.
same thing, Luchasaurus, and I hope it doesn't go on.
Speaking of things that I don't need to continue to go on, and it also hits us to the what year is this category of AEW's Full Gear. We have Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus Sting and Darby Allin. Like you said, the last match, and I love, you know this, I am very open about this. I love Jay Lethal. I think Jay Lethal's a star. I would put Jay Lethal in any kind of title picture that we could have. I just think he's great. I actually like Sanjay. I could care less about this match. I could care less about Jeff Jarrett coming back. It gives me the whole Ric Flair last match vibes. Then you've got Sting. So you got Jeff Jarrett, Sting.
Combined age, probably just south of 130.
With Jay Lethal, who is too good for this, and Darby Allin, who, again, you want to talk about a pillar that's lost his way. What the hell, Darby Allin? I don't know what we're doing with Darby Allin. So, This is the match. Sting and, I mean, who knows? This is new, so they're probably going to try to keep it going. Jeff Jarrett will probably hit someone with a guitar. It's going to be frustrating. I hope we get it over with in the only way, like the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus match, the only way to get it over with is if you put Darby and Sting, put them over.
Yeah.
And move on.
This is a showcase. This is a showcase match, because it's got names and legends. This is fine. They're going to have probably 13, 14 minutes. Sting will
too long.
Probably
13 to 14 minutes too long.
Agreed. Sting will stop Jeff Jarrett from swinging the guitar. Jarrett will get cracked over the head. Again, credit to Sting. He still has them. I did not need Jeff Jarrett back in AEW in a on-screen role. If he's doing some things behind the scenes, he's a good wrestling mind. Maybe
he's a brilliant wrestling mind. He's run companies.
Probably.
Tony needs Jeff Jarrett. I think he does. That way you think it'd be helpful. I don't need to see Jeff Jarrett, who, by the way, at 56 looks great. He looks fantastic.
Is that what he is, 56?
I think so. I think it's 56.
He's younger than Billy Gunn? I don't know about that.
I don't need him in the ring, and I need better for Darby Allin in this one.
And Jay Lethal.
Oh, I've been way past he's 55. Jeff Jarrett's 55 years old.
Really?
Who knows? Wow. He could be anywhere between 55 and 60. We don't know at this point. But yeah, I don't need it. So that way, are we both calling Sting and Darby go over?
Move it along. Yep.
Move it along.
Again, showcase match, maybe 10 minutes.
Let's talk about this four-way match.
Sting still sells tickets. That's why he's there.
He does. He's a legend. He's a legend. Let's talk about the four-way match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Only two more fights left. It is the four-way match for the Ring of Honor Championship. This is Chris Jericho champion, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Sammy Guevara. Let me ask you this, because they also wrestled. They had, 15. They had a lot of minutes at the top of the show yesterday.
Yeah, it was a tag team, right? Jericho and Sammy.
Yeah, the tag team match. Okay. Yep. A lot of minutes at the top of the show. Fine match. Good match. Like a B match, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are we getting a little bit of Jeff Jarrett, Bryan Danielson, Sammy, Claudio fatigue? Is there any Blackpool JAS fatigue in there? Or are you as hot for this match as ever?
I'm only hot for the main event for MJF and Moxley. Okay. This is the other one I'm interested to see the outcome. I'm sure I'll be tuning in Saturday, and I'll this is among the one that I would watch in earnest.
Okay. So you're compelled by this match.
I'm compelled, and I'm more compelled than not compelled.
Okay.
Or you're indifferent. I'm not indifferent about this. I'm definitely net positive on this match.
Okay. See, I'm much more in the fatigue zone for these guys.
I think this guy Jericho and say this foursome, I think, is a little bit illustrative of maybe what this wrestling fatigue is, or how I would explain maybe the current wrestling fatigue. I'm not putting it on any of those four gentlemen, but if you feel fatigued by this feud, I think that's maybe like a microcosm of like people who might be feeling explaining the fatigue of wrestling.
That's a good thing. I think that's a good point. I think exactly if you have AEW fatigue, this is why a match like this, which is a big match, is why you would have AEW fatigue.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to all four of these men showing off their craft. They will each get their opportunity. They always get their opportunity every time these people are featured. Again, when you're talking about Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho, arguably two of the 15 best who've ever done it. Sure. Claudio has been doing it for almost 20 years on television. He's fantastic. Sammy is a polarizing figure, but a rising young star.
He's the only one in the match that I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Sammy.
You and I are definitely still on the Sammy train. I like him just fine.
Strong in the Sammy camp. Strong.
I'm a fan of Sammy.
He got a reality check this weekend though.
He did that. He
realized maybe he didn't realize it. I don't know. But Sammy's not a known star outside of wrestling. The Paul brothers, they're known stars outside of wrestling. They get heat everywhere they go. You have to know wrestling. You have to know AEW to know Sammy Guevara.
Sammy was not quite ready for prime time, and
clearly the Floyd Mayweather crowd did not give a shit about who AEW or Sammy Guevara was.
Yep, they were definitely crickets. As far as a prediction, like, I don't know. Like, can I just call this a complete toss-up? It would make perfect sense. It would make good sense for Jericho to hold it a little longer, but it makes a lot more sense for either Danielson or Claudio to win that title. And I think it's going to factor into the whole Blackpool Combat Club results of Moxley. I don't know if one of them, I feel like they might be switching world championships in the Blackpool Combat Club. Moxley, I think, might lose it, and I think one of these two men is going to win it. But again, Jericho has people eating out of the palm of his hand when Judas plays. He's still incredibly remarkable and has done a really good job.
Yeah,
holding this title, being the Ocho. I think I might actually continue. I'm gonna say Jericho retains somehow, and the hows and the whys we'll just have to wait for Saturday. But if I gotta draw a name, I'm saying Jericho retains.
So I think we're in the same boat, and I don't have a really good reason like you. The only reason I have is that I like what they were doing. I like the Ocho. I like the returning ROH champions coming back, like Dalton Castle and those guys fighting. Different champions coming back and fighting Jericho. Mm-hmm. He's the only guy in the company I feel that can be a fighting champion and consistently fight folks outside of the company and make it like exciting and make it work.
Right, because he has his Lionheart gimmick. He can always do his Painmaker gimmick.
Yeah,
Jericho got to give him his due.
And while I do get a little bit of fatigue, I think, of seeing Bryan and Jericho, and to an extent, I like seeing Claudio and I like seeing Sammy, but I get it. They're huge faces of the company. They need to be there. I kind of hope that this storyline of Jericho being the Ocho continues. So I enjoy that. I just don't necessarily need them fighting. I don't need them fighting Blackpool. I'm good with them fighting ROH returning champions and like cool scenes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Jericho retains. Let's get down to it with the time we have remaining left. The main event of Full Gear 2022. It is a battle for the AEW World Championship. It is the Casino Ladder Poker Chip cash-in by challenger MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, versus, as we said now, the guy that's carrying the company on his back, AEW champion Jon Moxley. I mean, it's the build-up is there. We know it. Elliot, who you got? How do you think it goes down?
So we've inevitably asked this question when situation like this has come up. Is this the biggest match in AEW history? Like, maybe not.
I'm gonna say no.
However,
Not even.
yeah,
I'm gonna say no. No.
it probably isn't. However, for pro wrestling, this may be a significant match, being the sort of coronation of what may be a generational talent, the first world championship in a major organization. You smile because because I'm crowning MJF
You
the
love
next.
this. You love this.
Tell me why he hasn't earned it. He said he was going to do it. He has given promo of the year promo after promo of the year promo after promo of the year promo, and he was gone all summer. And when he came back, a little bit overshadowed when he came back, which I think he's addressed maybe after the show this past Wednesday. He is ready. It's his time. They have built around this. If you didn't mean to do this, then Tony wrote himself into a corner. I think last night's promo post show shows that MJF and Tony probably have a much better relationship now. I think Tony has, so there seems to be some MJF loyalty. MJF has let a little bit more of his. We still don't know what his true self is because he's never given an out of character interview. However, I think we've seen some hints of that recently, which I think is his character doing that, and that makes him so good. This match will be fine. It'll be ugly and violent and brutal. It will not be particularly technical, except for probably a few flinting moments because, MJF's when we used to do our 1 to 5 rated wrestler rankings, like MJF might be a 2.5 as a technical wrestler.
I'd give a 3.5. He can go, man. MJF can go. People don't think he can go.
He can go, but there's a lot of stuff. He's still somewhat limited acrobatically, which doesn't make it a negative, but like there's nothing wrong with a 2.5. I mean, 2.5 to 3 is like the range. So no one's a 3.5. I'd say he's a 3 technical at best, but that is more than adequate. It's his charisma and his mic skills, which have gotten him where he is, especially in AEW. He has not solely carried this company on his back, but he's been among the 2 or 3 most dynamic people in this company. And it's time the only one of those who hasn't held the title yet. It's his time. He's going to win. He's going to pin Moxley clean as a sheet. And you don't think so?
I think he wins. I don't think
the shenanigans will happen after. He might win. He might pin him clean as a sheet. I still think he might use the ring at some point.
Yeah,
he may cheat, but he will pin Moxley 1, 2, 3 without any outside interference.
No.
The outside interference will happen afterwards, I believe. No, you're going differently. I say MJF wins by himself, maybe with the ring, but he will have someone will come out and either help him or present themselves as the next challenger to him. You think he's going to have a gang behind him?
Yeah, so I think look, Sean Spears might run out. I think the Firm runs out. But the final nail in the coffin is when William Regal turns on Mox. Does whatever William Regal does. William Regal hits Mox with the ring or whatever.
Yeah.
MJF pins him. I do think that MJF gets the belt. He becomes the face of the company. He holds the gold. I do think that he wins, but I think it's going to be some shenanigans in there. And I think this will cap what I would have to say is a legendary run for Jon Moxley. I think
dude deserves a vacation.
Has had a run, and you've said that before. Other people have said that before. I'm not that big on dude needs a vacation, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a tribal chief in another company that is 700 and plus gold days. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. And I know that's by the own creation of these folks, right? They make their own kind of narratives in a way. But nobody's sitting here saying Jade Cargill needs a vacation. She's on a streak. You know what I mean?
He
It's
deserves
different.
he deserves the vacation that he was planning on taking, because he wasn't planning on holding the gold a third time. So
Eh,
let him continue with the plans he had made back in
nah.
September.
Nah,
You know,
plans change, brother. Plans
that's true.
change.
Ain't that the truth?
But I do think that he takes they lift the belt off of him. I think MJF takes it, and I do think that he moves into for the rest of the year moves into a role that's a little bit less defined. Whether I don't know if it's not on TV every week. I don't know if it's a Hangman feud. You know what I mean? I think with the return of the elite, the Bucks and Omega and those guys, possibly the return of Malachi Black and the House of Black, possibly there's some things that you can work into going into 23, and Mox can still do, because let's also face it, Mox isn't a guy that's going to take vacation. Mox will be at GCW. He'll go
Oh
to
yeah.
Japan and do some bunch of he
Just go to the
it's
Turks and Caicos
he's
with
not
Renee
going to
for a
do
week and a
he's
half.
not going to do that. And you made a good point. They're not just going to let Renee, who they just hired, not be on air for
Well,
so she's going to
that's
be there
probably
anyway.
true.
Yeah, so it's
Well,
like
I want to nail you down. Next Wednesday,
okay.
when MJF comes out for Dynamite wearing that gold to open the
Yep.
show, will he have Stokely and the Firm behind him? Will he have William Regal behind him solo, or
I
will
think
they
it's I think it's
all
Regal.
come out? Will they all come out?
I think I
Okay.
think I think he walks out, and I think Regal's somewhere around.
Will the internet wrestling community basically start making memes with Roman and Paul Heyman and MJF and William Regal and make that comparison?
They should. I mean, I'm not sure.
But
Again, this is also
you believe that's going to track the same way?
this is all
Each company
speculative.
champion will have one council coming out with him.
I don't know, man. I think it's all speculative.
Because that's what you're suggesting with
Yeah,
if Regal helps him Saturday,
I think Regal helps him Saturday.
then Regal is now MJF's.
I think he's there. I think it's different.
He's the wise man now.
Yeah, but I think it will be utilized differently.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is Regal he might stand on the apron with him, but Regal will go to the announcer table. And Max will walk to the ring and take the mic. Max will cut his promo. They're not gonna have the tribal chief Roman relationship, because as great as Roman is great right now. Roman is doing like some of the best stuff he's ever done. He's still not the mouth that Max is, right?
Not even close. Yeah.
And I mean he does what he does extremely well. I think he's the best at it. But there's a reason why Sami Zayn is, talking. If it's a 15-minute promo, Sami's got 12 of it.
No, MJF doesn't have that problem. He'll do fine. He'll do all the talking. William Regal will move. So that means we can get into next week. We'll have to see next week, but what that'll mean for Blackpool comedy. I said it again. Shout out to you, Megan. Blackpool Combat Club. That seems to be a faction then that will blow up internally if Mox loses. Claudio and Daniel are competing for the ROH title Saturday, and who knows what will happen there. And William Regal betrays all of them. How will that get addressed? We'll wait and see. That storyline makes a lot of sense. I think it's likely to go that way, but
we'll see.
Blackpool Combat Club sells a lot of merchandise.
And there's not you got to also think Wheeler Yuta's not on the card. So does he show up? Is he there? Does he call some shenanigans?
Mm-hmm.
There's AEW as we close out this show. AEW has the same problem that they've always had, and it's a good problem to have. It's an embarrassment of riches. We've got one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year coming up on Saturday, and we could make a list of AEW talent that is not on the card, that is as equally as compelling, with storylines, of course, of the fights that are on the card, right? So, they've just got to make sure they're utilizing what they have and really making some good things. I do think Saturday has the potential, as all their pay-per-views do, has the potential to have some really, really good matches, be a really good card. I will say this. If I'm looking at this card that has 10 matches on it right now, there is one, two, three that I probably don't care about at all. Um, I care about most of them, but they've got a lot of talent, man. They've got some good stuff, man.
Well,
What's your thoughts on what's your final thoughts on Full Gear here?
my final thoughts are there is going to be a media scrum after the pay per view.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Tony has announced that. I like that they do these media scrums.
That's cool.
It's a cool thing. I hope this one's going to have, I think, lots of fireworks because MJF's going to be coming in shot out of a cannon. However, I expect there to be no backstage drama. Nothing shoot will come out of media scrum. If you're looking for fireworks in that regard, I think you'll be disappointed. I think AEW has grown and matured since September, and they're cleaning things up. So I'm happy that there'll be a media scrum afterwards, and I can't wait for the whole card, and I can't wait for next Wednesday, and I can't wait for next Thursday where we'll talk about it all.
Excellent. Well, we're gonna have to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. As we've ran so far over, which we always do when it's just the two of us. I don't know how this happens.
Worth it.
We have six people on the card. We ended an hour. We have you and me, and we're like going an hour and a half. So,
love it.
Any final kind of heels, faces, or matches to watch as we go into the weekend?
Yeah, no matches to watch, and it was so easy to call Glenn Youngkin the heel of the week for some of the just inane comments our governor has made regarding education in our state. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I just realized that next Thursday we probably won't do a show because it will be Thanksgiving.
That's true.
I want to just again, send holiday wishes to our fans out there. Follow us on all of our socials. You know what they are by now, at WCWF pod on Twitter for as long as Twitter is still around for. It might be done by Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? But we're on Facebook. That's alive and well. Go to our group page. Go to our Instagram. Find us on Apple and Spotify. And you know what, Cheats? I'm thankful for you that you gave me this opportunity to start doing this podcast. It's not hyperbolic to say that in some ways it's changed my life. Not because I've found success or riches, but it gave me
not.
We have not. It gave me a really cool outlet to further talk about something that I've sort of low-key closetly liked my whole life. And you're a great producer and you're a great friend. And Megan, I know you're out there listening, our Heel and Heels. She's a great friend. Among the things I am very thankful for this year is my friendship with the two of y'all and this show and our fans. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, a great holiday, and enjoys all the wrestling that these wonderful promotions, both small and large, give us every week.
Could not have said it better, Elliot. I would be remiss if I did not say my wife graduated from UVA. I'd be remiss if I did not say our prayers and well wishes are with the UVA community as we go into a very, very tough few days. That's capping. I mean, it's not capping; it just keeps going and going. But it's it's been a tough couple years. For Charlottesville, the city there, the community there. Obviously, the tragedy at UVA recently hit really close to home for all of us. So just sending more wishes, love, and care to the UVA community and everyone that was affected by the tragedy. With that said, you're right, Elliot, as we go into the holidays and we go into Thanksgiving, I think we do have a lot to be thankful for. The one in this particular show in particular, it's our Thursday show, and we are thankful that there is not just one monopoly of a wrestling company. We have a lot of wrestling to talk about. It's gotten exciting, and it really has made wrestling fandom, AEW, and the rise of the indie scene, even more so than ever before, has made wrestling really, really fun to watch.
This wall behind me would be bare.
It'd be empty.
If not created, because I've never had the passion for collecting and keeping in a box WWE figures. I don't know what it is. I bought my son a ton of them. We ripped them open and played with them. They didn't feel collectible. AEW feels new and unique, and it feels like it's sort of like a collector's item, and we're trying to enjoy it while it's still going on, and that's why it's all great. So yeah, Tony, I wish Tony nothing but the best. I hope he gets
Right.
enough. I hope he gets enough sleep. I hope he doesn't wake up with tension headaches because a lot of people's happiness in small ways comes down to the product he puts on. It's a heavy responsibility, and I think Tony takes it seriously. So I wish him the best always, and I want all companies to succeed.
And we will leave it there. We got to count this thing out on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey, guys, enjoy Full Gear. We'll be back sometime next week.
Yeah.